I'm very drawn to stories of confinement and telling very large stories through a small window. That constriction, that balance, the juxtaposition of the size of the story and the way we're telling it really appealed to me and evoked my imagination in a very powerful way. And I think movie making, especially going to the movie theaters, needs to be a very experiential thing at this point. Why do you leave your house and go to the movie theaters? Well, you want to have the deepest, most profound experience. And this type of storytelling where you count on the incompleteness of it. That's a whole thesis of storytelling that I ascribe to, that you don't fill in everything and let the audience member do the dance with you. This isn't a dance performed for them entirely, but you require them to get up and be part of the dance. And that incompleteness that is inherent in these kind of stories where you're very confined and you're imagining everything. I mean, Twilight Zone, lived off of that. That conjuring of your imagination is required to finish the painting.
Families throughout the time of man have been chosen to make this decision.
Man, this character is really, he's weighted. And there's like all the chunky dialogue, and I was like, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Like, this is what I've been waiting for, because roles like this don't get offered to guys like me. I'm typically, everybody wants me for action stuff, and they kind of, I've kind of been fighting to get out of that box, but people naturally, and I understand why, want to put me in that box. Because I fit the bill, and I'm good at action. I play that guy, I could be that guy. But I want the deeper roles because I want to prove myself as an actor. So those roles are just super few and far between, especially leads. It just don't happen. So this is kind of the opportunity that I've been wanting for years and years and years.
Action! Stay back!
There's nothing that any of us can do. I believe you were chosen because you're a beautiful family.
He sent me the script, and he didn't really tell me a lot about it. He just said there was this story. There's a cabin, and I read it, and it was combined two of my biggest nightmares: home invasion and the apocalypse. It stayed with me a long time because I think it forces you to kind of put yourself in the situation and kind of think, what would you do? It's just deeply disturbing and pitched at it's such a fever pitch of kind of conflict, and there was just so much going on, and it all confined in this one space with kind of very few characters. So it was, I found it really, really powerful, really moving.
It's been a lot of fun. It's kind of crazy because I think the story is so dark and intense. So when we're actually in the cabin, so far it's mostly like really intense, somewhat violent scenes. But I think because everyone in the cast and Knight himself, just like a very warm and kind energy with everyone. So it's been like a bit of a kind of a crazy experience because it's so intense, and then like immediately after we're doing a scene, it's really, everyone gets along very well, and it's just like a very warm environment. Yeah. So it's kind of ideal, I feel like, for things that are so intense to have that, because I think it just makes for a really safe environment and group, which I think you need if you're being like really vulnerable. And
it is terrifying. I think even by Knight's standards, everyone's a little bit shaken by this story. There are things that happen in this movie that I would guess that people have never seen happen before. And as performers, Knight is challenging us. He's challenging us to push our own boundaries creatively, to have faith in him. He's having faith in us. I think artistically that can be like just a really great breeding ground for creativity and inspiration, is to ask people to kind of go past their comfort zones. And in this story, it's I say robust because, you know, it's like the scene that we're shooting right now. We're talking about sacrifice on a level, sacrificing your life in almost like an ancient and primal way, which none of us, you know, have ever explored anything like that before. So we're all putting our trust in Knight completely. And I think he's putting his trust in us as well, that if we tell the story correctly, it'll go past the kind of shocking, sensationalist aspects of the story and go into something deeper and something moving and hopefully touching as well.
Having a child on set is just it keeps us all humble, it keeps us all playful, and it keeps us all on our best behavior. Because I think kids in life tend to bring out the best in people because you want to be a good role model and set a good example for them. And Kristen in particular is such an extraordinary little girl and such a precocious, intelligent, unique person that she is endlessly entertaining and endlessly inspiring to be around. It's really her first time acting and her first movie, and we all are conscious of wanting it to be a great experience for her and wanting her to have a good time and wanting to kind of show her the opportunity of what acting can bring.
I put every word or not word, the word that I chose not to put in there is done for a particular reason. And you may want to conform the dialogue to make it comfortable, to make it easier to say, but that hitch, that overstatement, that redundancy, or that awkwardness, or the flip of the verbiage of that, that's how I saw the character dealing with it. So before we go to let's change everything, okay? I want you to try as much as you can to get the original intention. Because if I give you that opportunity to let's change things, let's just constantly change things, yes, I understand how that's expedient and we can get to a truthful thing with an actor quickly. I get that, you know, and especially with TV and things and when you're rushing and you're doing, but we're not doing that. We are going to do this one shot and we're gonna spend hours on it. So I wanna talk to you about trying to get that hitch in there that seems hard for you, that little weird like pause, and where does the anger come from? Why does that thing, let's talk about that rather than saying, I can't do it, or I don't understand it, end of conversation, or wouldn't it be easier to do that? And I always say, wow, you've really made it smoother. Did we improve it? Did you, now it's easier to hear and easier to say and all that stuff. So we have those conversations. It's because I've spent, 5, 6, 7, 8 months alone thinking about that, and our instincts under complete duress and pressure sometimes can make us do things that are easier but not necessarily better for the situation. And we rehearse, and in rehearsals we talk through all of that.
All of Knight's films kind of, I think, encourage their audience to challenge their reality and what they believe in. And I think this film's probably doing that more directly than any film that he's made. I think it's throwing up all these really direct, confronting questions that are like life's riddles, and they're like encapsulated in this unconventional, like domestic family setting. And I think it's I think it's a really good movie to watch for where we're at in the world.
Will you make a choice?